Well, a very good morning. You're listening to Wee Radio, and as said earlier on last week, a guy called Dan got in touch with Wee Radio and said he wanted to pop into Wee Radio to have a chat about what's been happening in Bishop Auckland. You've probably seen it on the BBC News on Look North, and it was also in the front page of the Bishop's Press, and there's been a few features in the Northern Echo. Well, I'm pleased to be joined in the Wee Radio studio this morning by two of the guys. So I'd like to say good morning to Dan Walls and Graham Cleland. So good morning.
Morning.
And how are you both doing this morning? First of all, Dan, how are you doing?
It's very early for me, but it's good. I'm alright. I'm waking up slowly.
How are you doing today?
I'm grand. I have caffeine. Everything is good.
Right. So the first sort of questions I want to ask you is: so how did it all start? How did you? What age? What inspired you to do this sort of street art and graffiti and that sort of thing?
Oh well, we've both been painting for a long time. We've both got separate businesses. I own Illumination Wall Art, and Graham is the
real graffiti company.
Yeah, we've both got like separate stories, but with me, I started out painting at college and I went on to university to get my fine art degree, and I didn't really have a job. There was no way of getting any kind of employment doing what I did, so I decided to start a business and started painting kids' rooms, like different cartoon characters, and put them on Facebook. And after that it took off. People were asking how much for this, how much for that, and I went to the Prince's Trust and started a business, got a grant, started Illumination Wall Art in 2011 I think it was, and I haven't looked back since.
Excellent. And what about yourself?
So I went to college just at kind of A-level, and then I kind of walked away from art for a while, and then got an opportunity to work with a youth centre with some young people when they saw my portfolio, and I just from there started a business in 2004, and I've painted in Germany, I've painted people, I've painted transit vans, walls, but I ended up specialising in engaging with hard to reach young people and using my artistic skills to work with them on projects as well as taking on my own commissions, and currently I am youth missioner at St Anne's Church in the Market Square as well.
Oh, excellent. So are you involved with the artwork just outside the town hall?
I painted that, yes.
Yeah, you didn't even know that.
With kids from my mum's school as well.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So we ran a competition, and then the top design was interpreted and put on the wall.
So, Bishop Auckland, are you both from Bishop Auckland?
I was born in the hospital and then I lived in Aycliffe for a good portion of my life, but I've come back recently and I live in Bishop, lived here for about 4 years now.
Okay, so you lived here and...
I lived in Stanley for a long time and then moved to Burley, then Gateshead, and now I'm in Spennymoor.
We're just going to play a song and then we're going to come back and talk about Bishop Auckland, because obviously the main reason we're here is the work that's been going on around by the Smokehouse on Chester Street and also Railway Street, and we'll talk a little bit about the Stan Laurel and what inspired you guys to do that. So we'll come back in just a few minutes right here on The Breakfast Show.
Start your day with Lee Brownson. It's the Weir Radio Breakfast Show.
1981, Journey and Don't Stop Believing right here on Weir Radio. Very good morning to you if you've just joined us. It's the 23rd of August and I've got two special guests in the studio today. As I said, you might have seen on the front page of the latest edition of the Bishop's Press, we've got that Stan Laurel mural celebrating the comedy icon. It's been on the Northern Echo and it's also, as I say, been on the BBC News as well. Well, joining me in the studio, I've got Dan and Graham, two of the artists that have been involved with all of this. I'm going to talk more in depth a bit about Bishop Auckland now, because there's a particular area of the town which has been not very well looked after in the past, and Dan and Graham have been telling me why they've chose this particular part of Bishop Auckland, so that's Railway Street and Chester Street. So I'll let the guys explain why and how it came about.
Very professional the way you come across. It's kind of intimidating for us.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. Be worse. So, Bishop Auckland, what happened with me when I first started painting the graffiti on the Smokehouse, I met the owner and he decided to turn one half of it into something called the Art Bunker, which was a communal art space, and he asked me to paint Art Bunker on the side of it. Did that for him, and I looked at the rest of the walls and said, what's going on with the rest of the street, like in the rest of these walls? He goes, oh, just do what you like. And I'm like, okay, sounds. So I started up a legal graffiti incentive called Bish Vegas Legal Graph. I did the odd bit here and there. And then we had other people coming in from out of the woodwork. There's some old, old, I feel terrible for saying that, but guys who'd been painting graffiti before me and Graham were born. You know, old school graph writers that got like in trouble for it, got looked up for it and put it on the back burner for a while they had kids or whatever. And now they're coming back and they wanting to get involved without having to, run from the police basically. So there's some rules anyway. We want to try and keep the graffiti wall relatively clean. We don't want anything offensive, anything like that. And I set up a Facebook page and just said, have a go, crack on.
Yeah, so I was kind of I came to work in this area, like I said before, as a youth missioner, and I've been painting graffiti for a long time, and it's something I've always had alongside when I was at university in my business. And I saw the legal wall, and I just got in touch with Dan, and then we've kind of been working together at expanding it. But also, it's what sets it apart is the curation process, where people keep an eye on what's there, and it's updated regularly. There's a Facebook page, and then like we looked at how we can expand it to engage with young people, for example, and to engage with the community more, and kind of adding to the vision of the idea of Bishop Auckland being like a painted town, being a centre of all kinds of arts because of the other developments that are going on. It's like part of to complement that, and to kind of expand on that, but also it shows that like anybody can have a go, if you know what I mean. Like you can stand in the gallery and go, oh, like oil painting, or you can stand in the alleyway and go, oh, fancy doing some graffiti, and like it's just kind of making that vision and pushing that vision further.
There seems to be some kind of divide a little bit between art in galleries and art in the streets, and I think we need to kind of cross the boundary a little bit. I think art can be kind of intimidating if you haven't got like the art education or the art history kind of background. There seems to be a thing with class, where if you don't understand it, then it's not for you, and that's not really the case. It's more, well, for me and Graham, it's more about the journey and enjoying what you do and sharing that with the community and sharing it with kids who don't really know where they're going, who think they've got no talent and think they've kind of not got anything going for them. Where have a go, have fun with it.
We'll both say that art's played a strong role in our lives of giving us focus and drive to achieve.
Absolutely.
Because we've both had varying levels of success academically, and it's like showing that, like I use my story to show how you can succeed. I left school with just one GCSE, but then I ended up getting a degree from Durham University years later. But it's just showing how you can use your expression artistically, and it can help you.
Well, that's right, and I've read lots of stories about all these famous artists, like the Spanish artist, which we'll see in the Spanish Gallery when that opens, and a lot of these didn't have any education, there was no schools around, but they used their skills and their sort of touches that they had in being able to put their skills across in a different way. And I think, as you just said, art is in all different shapes and forms, and what's happening at both ends of Bishop Auckland is fantastic. So what's the response been like from the local community when you've been doing these sort of murals in the town?
The response has been amazing. The Stan Laurel that we've recently done, that's on the front cover of the papers, which is it's amazing. People have been so engaged with it, they're so happy to come and have a look at it, and every time I go to the legal wall to do some bits of graffiti myself, there's always people coming past taking photos and asking questions, and it's just been really good. I think it's really reached the community in a lot of ways, and it's been so good to have that. We
have spoken about Stan Laurel, so tell us what made you do that huge, massive mural of Stan Laurel?
Well, I had the idea for a while because the graffiti in the legal artwork is kind of polarising. People either love it or they hate it, and it's got that kind of a negative stigma still attached to it, graffiti. You see an alleyway full of graffiti, and people get this kind of like, I don't know, they get a bit overwhelmed by it, they feel a bit intimidated, and that's not what I want. I want it to be a nice, clean area full of really nice artwork that people can come and engage with. So with the Stan Laurel, I wanted to show people what the artists in this town can do, and also do something that made the area look better, to really put a stamp on the town, really, you know. It's become a Pokestop on Pokemon Go now, so that's
it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, and it just looks so realistic. So where did you get the picture from? Was it an idea you had, or is it just your own design of the picture of Stan?
It's kind of, I found like a reference image on the internet, and it was an old photograph that had been like retouched, because obviously when he was around, they didn't really have really good high digital photographs.
Yeah.
So we got that rough idea, and then we drew it out as line work. Raven and Michael Clark, the two other artists who joined me on that. Raven's is a really good portrait painter and tattooist, so me and her kind of worked together digitally to like map it out, and we projected it out of the smokehouse window, just the line work on the wall, and we sprayed the line work in, and the next day we just smashed loads of colour into it for like the past 2 or 3 days. We just absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, so it took you 2 or 3 days to create from nothing, from a blank wall to what it is now, and it's amazing, isn't it?
I would hope that it's the start of something larger. I mean, we're kind of trying to put together a project that will be more long term, but it's like finding long term funding for something that would create opportunities for like to get other people on board. I think our kind of shared vision would be that we could even like get apprentices through, or people who would really love to be a professional artist but don't necessarily want to go down the road of like Dan did. He went and did a fine art degree. I just, like I say, I did A-level, but then I just learned to paint in other ways. And and it's giving people an opportunity, but I think, again, it's just, I hope it's the start of something larger.
Well, we're going to come back to that, because I want to talk about other work outside of Bishop Auckland, some of the other areas that you've covered and what the future holds, not just for Bishop Auckland, but for you guys themselves. So we'll take a little bit of a break. We've got the news headlines, which we'll do in a few minutes as well, but right now we'll continue with this one from Simple Minds.
Yeah, so ideally the future would be, best case scenario would be that we could find funding to have like a longer term project and do engagement and development work with people, and just like have a culture of people being able to experience the kind of mystique that's behind graffiti art and just be able to enjoy that. And I think it'll really complement what the other stuff that's going on in the town, because like I say, I'm not from here. And I didn't realise how artistic this town is until I've spent more time here. It's amazing the things that are going on, and when you kind of take a second look at all the little shops. But at the minute we're out identifying wall space, and so we're trying to get in touch with people to get some more wall space, because that's the more wall space we'll have, the more people can paint, and hopefully the better the town will look.
If you guys want to donate some wall space, donate some paint, get involved yourself, then you can look us up. It's Bish Vegas Legal Graph is the Facebook group. I'm also illuminationwallart.co.uk, and Graham.
realgraffiti.jimdo.com.
So have you any big projects in mind that you would like people to get involved with yourselves, or is it just a case of what happens when?
At the moment, it's very what happens when. We're looking at what kind of organisation we're going to be, where we're going to push that to be able to get the funding and the kind of official name of what we are. At the minute, we're just a big group of like-minded people who love painting and drawing and want to do more with the town. But I think we need to be more official to be able to push this further. We also want to showcase a lot more artists' work as well, because there's a lot of very creative people, a lot of unsung heroes in this town and in the North East that don't get the platform that they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people who are a bit shy as well, and like a lot of hidden talent, because they don't have degrees and they don't know the language, but they can just really have a passion. And I think it's highlighting those people as well. But like Dan said, we've got to create a legal entity to be able to attract funding and to hold funding, because we're thinking quite large for the future. Because a lot of projects appear and then disappear and pop up and disappear, and I think we're both thinking about sustainability and long term.
And I think the project you've done with Stan Laurel is highlighted exactly that graffiti doesn't have to be a negative thing, and I think we talked about this before, and how positive it's come out by all the different types of people that have been involved, all the different designs that you've got on the walls in Chester Street and Railway Street as well, around by the smokehouse. And I think that has given Bishop Auckland a little bit more of a kick in that direction of having that mixture of famous artists' work in Spanish galleries, as well as having your art as Stan Laurel and various other things in the town as well.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I have a huge love for fine art and Spanish art anyway. I wrote my degree on Goya, and I absolutely love his work. At the Bowes Museum, my work was in the next room to one of Goya's paintings, and that was huge for me, because in any other world, me going down the academic route or whatever and not starting a business, I would never have had that opportunity ever. And now it's up there next to Goya, and that to me is enormous. I think as well with Stan Laurel, I love painting him, and it's great to have that for the town, but I don't want to get stuck doing heritage. Yeah. It's great that we've got a past, but we need a future, and we don't have one, because this place is dropping to bits. And why not have the Spennymoor Flamingo or something like that, something completely out of the way, something different, you know?
Well, we'll leave you guys as artists to work that one out, and then no doubt you'll come back and do that. Is there anything else you would like to say before we finish? Because it's been great to have a bit of an insight to your past, obviously why you've chose Bishop Auckland, and obviously the projects you're going in forward into the future.
Yeah, just really, we both do commissions and stuff as well, but any businesses that are interested in donating wall space or working with us, get in touch. We're quite versatile in the kind of things we can do, and sometimes it's just like even if you don't have an idea but you have a space, or if you have an idea, just get in touch, because I think we're both open to that kind of creating something new. It's like taking the sentiment of other famous fine artists and like doing what they did basically, but now.
Well, thank you very much to both yourselves, Dan and Graham, for popping into We Radio today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've learned a lot myself. Bishop Auckland, born and bred, and I just think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic for the town.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming in, and we'll hopefully see you in the very near future. Thank you.